Nigerians, good morning and welcome, dearest Akwaibamites and our neighbors here at Ibiaku. And this is Rise and Shine. Thank God it's Friday. I am Uyanik and thanks for joining us. Good morning, Janice.
Good morning, Uyai, and of course, good morning to our esteemed viewer. All of you that are always tuning in because of Rise and Shine. Come on, we doff our hats for you this morning. Thank you so much for choosing Spectrum Television and, of course, the morning breakfast show, Rise and Shine show. My name is Janice Kwabum, and I'll be asking, how has your week been from Monday up until Thursday? Hope it has really been very, very productive. You know, anytime we start a day, the prayer is, Lord, let my day be productive.
Yeah.
So that at the end of the day, we just come down and just brood over everything that has happened, celebrate your little wins, and of course move on. Even if maybe sometimes it could be very challenging. Learn from your mistakes, learn from the setbacks, and then celebrate your little wins. And of course, it's a great day.
Of course, I think that's the best way to even stay afloat, all things, happening around us and even happening in everybody's personal life. I think it's the way to stay afloat. But I think something really strange happened this week.
Okay.
I don't know if any other person noticed it, but I know my brother noticed it. We are suddenly in Friday. And really, I was so shocked.
Like the day.
Yes, this week ran. This week ran really, really fast. I was trying to check the time. Yesterday, I was like, today is already Thursday, and I saw my brother write it, and I was like, yeah, the same feeling, right? So it's like the end of the week. Monday to Friday is already done, and like, yeah. Thank God it's Friday.
So I think I noticed another thing. Maybe we're just experiencing shorter day and shorter nights.
Shorter days and shorter nights. Well, that means it's bringing us closer to the end of 2022. And how many of us are actually really ready to end the year? Because having started with a lot of this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to accomplish, these are the life changes I'm going to make. So far, so good. How much of these things have we seen, happening in our lives? Now, these are apart from the things that we do not have any control over as people, but the things that we actually do have control over by our daily decisions and choices. How far with those things? It's like a scary decision, because it's a scary realization. This is the 6th month of the year. In a few days, we are entering the 8th month. This is 7th month, July. Yeah, we're entering the 8th month, and before you know it, like if another 2 weeks runs by the way this week has run by, before you know it, we're in December, and God help us. I hope we are ready to summarize this year.
Yeah, definitely. The point is, a lot of people just start the year with a whole New Year resolutions and more like goal settings. I'm going to do this, I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to achieve that. But again, they are just circumstances and situations that stifle you're trying to pursue that particular goal. But that's why I said, just celebrate your little wins. Right. No matter how little it is, it encourages you to go the length, okay? And just takes you away from anxiety and the whole pressure of trying to get it done and then beating yourself all up if you don't get it done. This is not the time to begin to beat yourself up. This is more like the time to celebrate yourself and celebrate whatever it is that you've been able to achieve from January up till now, and maybe at the end of the year too. You never can tell. There might just be a breakthrough somewhere in December or November or September.
Somewhere in August.
Somewhere in August.
Somewhere in August.
Like you just want it very close by.
Wow. Okay. So
anyways,
trending issues, and some days are fast. Like this, even when it comes to things happening, some days are fast, some days are full. Some other days are just laid back. Okay, these things are happening. We're just going around and going about the same issues. But with regards to trending gist, we see that the federal government has moved to ban the nationwide use of motorcycles and even considering the nationwide ban on mining. When I saw the one on mining, I think it's a little too dangerous. I know that we could put in measures to check, but I know that we are a nation blessed with natural resources. So when we say we are going to put a ban on mining, it means we are going to be stifling a particular sector. But of course, the scare of the federal government is that it's giving room to a lot of terrorism, but of course they too are trying to make the correlation between motorcycles and mining. But so far so good. The Accountant General of the Federation came out to, give the words of the president himself, because the meeting was actually presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, the Council Security meeting, and so he came out to say the federal government is actually considering putting a nationwide ban on motorcycles. We know that I think 2 weeks or a month ago, Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State had put a ban on motorcycles in certain areas of Lagos State. A few months ago, it was done here in Akwa Ibom. And of course, every time there is always a loud cry, from the motorcycle riders. What do you expect us to do? How do you expect us to raise funds and all of those kinds of things? We also remember that when we had Dr. Ketso speak to us, he pointed out categorically that the terrorists in the north and all of these places, usually they're masterminded and perpetrated with the use of motorcycles. So these things are like a really big worry and a really big bother to the Nigerian.
Yeah, definitely. Just to put things in perspective as to what the federal government said, it said it is considering placing a ban on the use of motorcycles in mining activities across the country to cut down the spate of insecurity in the country. Now, the Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, hinted this yesterday while briefing State House reporters about the meeting of National Security Council presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, he also went ahead to say that investigations have revealed that Okada were used for mining activities across the country, and the ban could cut sources of funds of terrorists and bandits as well. Now, it just, takes me back to the main issue, what really caused, this happening. The federal government coming out to say, let's try to put a ban on motorcycles nationwide. You remember that some weeks ago there was an attack on the Kuje Correctional Center.
Yeah.
So these and many more attacks, and the recent killing of a priest, a Catholic priest somewhere in the north. I think our guest that will be talking to us later will shed more light on that angle as well, because as at yesterday, they said they just came back from burying that particular priest. So some of those things are quite alarming at the rate at which, bandits and terrorists are really perpetrating these acts. But, when you say that the federal government, fine, banning motorcycles, nationwide banning, it's okay to say that the federal government wants to ban motorcycles and then again, stop mining activities. We know that these terrorists or bandits are greatly funded because if you look at the kind of weapons and that they use, sometimes they could even be more sophisticated than what the military in Nigeria are using. So these are some of the things that the federal government is actually looking out to stop, which is a good idea. Okay, but when you say that you want to ban motorcycles, have you also thought about the consequences that this may have on the people? That you are going to be taking livelihood away from them. Some people use this as a means of livelihood. Now, it is not all people that ride motorcycles that are using it to perpetrate some kind of criminal acts. Let's get that correctly. So what about those that are genuinely using motorcycles as a means of livelihood?
Yeah.
And then let's not also forget that it's not all motorcyclist riders that are terrorists. We know that in the north, like you just mentioned, Dr. Getsu actually noted and made us understand that these people come in large numbers riding motorcycles now. So yes, it is okay. For me, I would just think that maybe the federal government should look into the areas or the states where this is more predominantly used for terrorist acts, and then put a ban on it. For you to say that you're going to ban motorcycle use in the whole nation, I think that's a little bit too much. And then again, what about the mining? Is mining done in the 36 states of Nigeria?
Yeah.
It is not done in the 36 states of Nigeria. There are particular states that are the mining is more prevalent in these states than other states. So let us look at those states and try to carve them out and stop this mining activities. But again, if you ask me, if you're saying that mining is being used as a means of funding terrorists, I also want to ask the federal government, what about those people that have been mentioned, those names that have been called out, even though they've not been called out publicly, okay, that these are major sponsors of terrorists in Nigeria?
The known list of terrorists.
Yes, there are a long list of terrorist sponsors. So even if you ban mining activities, what about sponsors? They are sponsors. There are people that sponsor them. So I think that we should begin to even look at some of these angles.
Yeah, of course, the propensity for it to look like there is an underlying attempt to take away livelihood from the common man is there, because when you look at motorcycle operators, when you take out riding motorcycles from them, except there is a deliberate plan to give them something else for livelihood. So if you take the motorcycles, you're giving them buses or keke napep, or you're setting up an industry where everybody who rode a motorcycle should go and work. Now that would be fair. But if you're just saying, okay, we're going to take our motorcycles, and we're not talking about promissory measures that will be tendered to these people. Okay, the federal government is going to produce, going to make available jobs. No, we are saying, if you're taking motorcycles, you're going to be given buses or given tricycles, or you're going to, set up an industry where you can get, most of the people who even get into this business are active young men. There's really hardly the older ones, but they're mostly active young men of communities. So if you give them an industry where they could go even use that energy.
Let me just say this: active young men that make up more the population of our productivity in the country.
Of course. So you can even look at creating an industry. But I believe that these measures should be set in place before taking the motorcycles from them. Don't take the motorcycles first before you begin to think of how you're going to ameliorate the suffering that these families are going to, start facing. One time we had the chairman of the Motorcycle Association here in Ibiakuran had actually given a testimony of the fact that he has actually, that's been the business he's done all his life, and he has trained his children up to the university level with driving a motorcycle. So if you take the motorcycle from him at this time, how do you expect him to continue to take care of his family? He hasn't given testament of owning a farm, owning a side business. All he knows is that he drives a motorcycle all year round, and he has children in the university. So when you take that, you need to have more viable means that these people are going to be able to use and take care of themselves. And when we talk about mining, I think of course, gold is mined for, and other natural resources. Don't you want the country to diversify the means of exchange and all the other things that brings in money? Of course, over the time, we've always complained, oh, we are too dependent on crude oil. And mining offers us an opportunity to be able to look into other areas of resources that Nigeria is greatly blessed in. When you say you want to put a ban on it, that closes down a sector. If you say you want to consider, putting checks to make sure that terrorist activities or fraudulent activities do not go on there, that is fair.
I think that the federal government, one of the reasons why they are doing this is more like saying that we're putting national interest above personal interest. Great. Putting national interest above personal interest is quite commendable. But has the government also put their cards on the table to find out how this will have a ripple effect on not just the economy, but on individuals? Okay, not even on the economy, but in the country at large. Because if you say that you're taking away everybody, you're stopping and banning motorcycling from everybody that uses a motorbike, don't you also know that you're going to be pushing a lot of people into unemployment, which might even push those people into perpetrating crime?
Of course, that's another possibility. Yes, because some of those people, it takes us back to the very energetic population that do these businesses. Most of them might decide to go to crime as an alternative, right? So of course, I think it's a very dangerous.
I just believe that they should look into it again, because if you're taking a decision on making policies, I think that you just have to weigh
the options.
Your options. Is it the positive? Is it going to be more overwhelming than the negative? And if the positive is more overwhelming than the negative, great, we go with it. But in a situation where policies at the end of the day now makes it becomes counterproductive, it becomes a problem. So let us also weigh our chances, weigh our options, and see if it's going to work as banning motorcycles and mining activities nationwide, if it's going to work to the extent of curbing terrorism in the country, then great. We also want it to end, because we're just tired of every day there's a killing somewhere. Sometimes it even affects our mental health as you know, on-air personalities. We come here and sit down and talk about killings and killings and killings and killings every day, and then when you go back, you're just, you know, the whole thing just messes up with your head. So I think that if the federal government is saying that, okay, this option is going to work, is going to curb insecurity and terrorist attack in the country, great, we give it to you, do it. But if it has a counterproductivity, then it's a bad option. That's just it. Okay, at this point now, we'll just take a breather and go straight for the news brief. And when we come back, of course, other very interesting conversations will be happening on Rise and Shine. Just stay with us.
government, Secretary General, distinguished delegates.
This was the Lagos, Nigeria today at 1:45.
Good morning. This is your morning news brief on Spectrum, live from Uyo. I am Uyai Aniakan. We begin with President Muhammadu Buhari as he has condoled with the family of former Nigeria's ambassador to the Holy See, the Vatican Isaac Sege, on the passing of their patriarch. In a statement signed by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Gabriel Shehu, the president described Saga as a dedicated and thoughtful diplomat who provided exemplary leadership in his various ambassadorial assignments. In a separate development, the federal government is appealing to the Nigeria Labour Congress to cancel its planned protest over the prolonged strike of the Academic Staff Union of Universities and other university-based unions. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, made the appeal at a meeting with the leadership of the NLC in his office. To the legislature now, where the House of Representatives has resolved to investigate passport racketeering, shortage of booklets, and delays in issuance by the Nigerian Immigration Service. At plenary, the House urged the service to hold their policy for biometrics capture, while also urging the service to immediately purchase more machines to aid the process. Away from that, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) will arraign a former Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, over 109.4 billion naira fraud today. Confirming this in a statement by the spokesman for the EFCC, Wilson Wajren, said the suspect will be arraigned before Justice Adeyemi Ajayi of the Federal Capital. We move now to the foreign scene, where Turkey says a deal has been reached with Russia to allow Ukraine resume exports of grain through the Black Sea. The deal is reportedly to be signed today in Istanbul by Ukraine, Russia, Turkey, and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. And finally, Nigerian singer Davido and Austin J.J. Okocha are some of the leading Africans in sport and music who presented an award at the 2022 CAF Awards. Davido, alongside Emmanuel Adebayo, presented the award for Young Female Footballer of the Year to Ghana's Evelyn Badu, while Okocha presented the award for Goal of the Year to Papa Osuma Sacho. We'll have details of these stories and more in our news at 12. I am Uyania. Can we head back now to the Rise and Shine crew to stay with us?
As of government, Secretary General, distinguished delegates.
This was the Lagos, Nigeria today at 1:45.
a knowledge of global businesses, economic activities, a new wave of the stock market, forex market, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs creates new dynamics towards emerging market millionaires and billionaires. From the dot-com era to the oil booms, the fundamental news drives the market. This is Business 360, taking you to the business around the globe. Join us from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. weekdays, exclusive on Spectrum Television. Business 360, your prism to world businesses.
The Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Elections in Nigeria is characterized by fraud.
It is not pure election because of the way they conduct it.
The elections are here again. For us in Akwa Ibom State, it is another opportunity to elect credible and potential leaders.
But I see some of them are not really credible.
In fact, when you talk about the credibility in the Nigerian system, it's absent.
As for the aspirants, what are your plans to better the lives of citizens and ensure that it is not just another era of political promises?
Some aspirants came up with so childish kind of manifesto, something that you know that they cannot do.
Even if after campaigning and promising heaven and earth, you find out that by the time they come in, they cannot do 50% of what they promised.
Because they are coming to see this. If they don't use this, they will not achieve what they want. So it is the normal thing they must use to convince a man that does not have a proper ideology to vote them.
So it's just a mere slogan. It's just a mere slogan to use and have their right into power.
What do you, the people, think about the elections?
The electoral process has been marred by malpractice and all of that.
That's a bad thing in Nigeria. All for election night, you about money.
Definitely, no matter what the reforms they are carrying out, they will still be rigging.
It's about the aspirants, the manifesto, the people's view, and in-depth analysis.
That godfatherism is what has eaten deep into our political system. It has become a cankerworm that has left our political system into a corrupt system.
If it is not godfatherism, somebody like me, I will become the counselor. So because I don't have a godfather, it will not work.
Because people feel that they will come and invest, they need to get something back home. So the major aim is not about the people, it's about their family and themselves.
Godfatherism will not help the politics to grow. It won't help democracy to grow.
Vote buying will even be more this time around because these people, most of them have stolen a lot of money and they will use this money to buy votes.
Who gets to represent you in government at all levels?
Well, for me, the new breed aspirants, I would love the new breed aspirants. But for those, there are some of them that will not, I would say, definitely, I wouldn't want them to come back definitely to power.
Join us on Akwa Ibom Decides every Saturday and Sunday by 3 p.m. each day, exclusive to Spectrum Television, as we take on the aspirants set to lead you.
Many thanks for still being there. It's Rise and Shine on Spectrum Television. Of course, we're beaming
live from the beautiful hills of Ibiaku. We just came back from the desk of the news brief, and all the stories are reaching you from this particular program. But you can do well to join us on social media. Head up straight to our YouTube page, all of which you can find at spectrumtv.ng, and be part of the conversation this morning. Anyways, moving from some of the trendy things that have been happening in the country. Of course, we talked about the federal government considering to ban motorcycle and, of course, mining activities in the country. We also looked at the implication and, of course, the reason why the federal government is choosing to toll this line. Away from that now, yesterday I remember very well that we talked about the fact that back here in Uyo, the state government decided after a long while, or after a prolonged impasse, decided to look into the matter of retired teachers and next of kin in the state, and they decided, okay, they were going to start offsetting the backlog of gratuity that they have owed this set of people. And it was quite commendable, but they actually were asking for more before this particular administration folds up. And so in the studios this morning we have Mr. Benjamin Benson, who is the Secretary of Next of Kin Retired School Teachers, joining us here in the studio this morning to talk more about what the government did and what the association actually wants moving forward. Good morning, and many thanks for joining us.
Good morning. It's my pleasure. Always my pleasure to be here.
Okay, so let's start now. Government has decided, okay, let's see how we can pay the backlog of gratuities for next of kin and retired teachers. How does that make you feel in the first instance?
Well, for me, for us that are affected, it should have been a cheering news, but unfortunately, it is not that. It's nothing to write home about, considering the backlog involved and how much the government is actually committing to offsetting this debt. So if you look at the whole thing, in fact, let's start from the governor's press release. You know that if you look at that press release, releasing that money, there is no way on that press release that the governor said or mentioned the amount of money he is giving out. There was no way, and nobody can say for certain how much the governor has released. I think three factors are responsible for that. One, the governor does not disclose financial commitment, be it on projects or elsewhere, like the 21-story building, the church, and other projects. He doesn't disclose how much is involved. That's one. Two, what he released must have been so insignificant to the extent that he decided to concede the amount to himself. And I think those are the two major.
Don't you think that's an assumption to assume that the amount he released is very minute? That's why it wasn't mentioned.
Yes, he created the assumption. The grounds for assumption was created by him, because if he had mentioned the amount in the press release, nobody would be assuming.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so why do you say that it's not a cheering news? Now, don't forget that government could as well just keep quiet and not do anything about it. Let's not also forget that the backlog runs into, I think, 28 million naira, or is it billion naira now?
It's
billion
naira. By the last verification,
yeah,
this year, from 28, it went to 33 billion.
Okay, 33 billion naira. So the government, would have just said, okay, we are not doing anything about it. So why don't you think that it is a cheering news?
No, it is the responsibility of government, every government, not just Akwa Ibom State government, to solve problems. So this is one responsibility that is begging the government of Akwa Ibom State to solve. So there is no way government can run away from it. Its own core responsibility.
So this is not necessarily an issue of applauding the government.
Yes, these entitlements are statutory. So when people work, the day you fill your forms for employment, the day you are offered employment, there are terms and conditions. And one of the terms and conditions is that at the end of this service, At the end of the service years, somebody is entitled to so and so amount as pension or gratuity. So there is no way government will run away. In fact, if they are going to run away, let them even stop employing. Yes, people work for pension and gratuity. That's what people live for. Yes. So in this case, it is very irresponsible of any government not to pay not to pay to retirees what they are entitled to. And of course, you know, also this money, they have lost value. You know, if you receive 1 million, for instance, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, maybe you would have made so much meaning to your economy, the value of the money. Today, 1 million, you can count the number of bags of cement it can purchase for you. The purchasing power of the naira is depreciating by the day. And so if it is not, that is why I started by saying that the news was not as cheerful as it would have been.
But is this how every member of the association of retired teachers and all the people being owed gratuities, is this how they actually feel?
Yes.
They don't feel very excited
about
them.
I have seen somebody that received her entitlement, and all that he had to do with the entitlement is to go and pay to her creditors. What did she use the money to do? When the husband died, she used the money. She borrowed money to bury the husband, and the people that gave her the money kept counting the interest. So as she received that entitlement, she had to go and offset the debt. We have so many stories.
So
yes.
I think another issue I want to look at is, you know, when we want to trace this particular conversation, we remember also that there was a point where government said, no, they are not the ones, you know, that we're supposed to pay these monies, that it was more like the local government areas. So what has suddenly happened? What has brought about the change between the last thing the government said and government actually owning up now and deciding, okay, let's see how we can, you know, begin to offset this backlog?
Well, let me start by saying that this government, Akwa Ibom State government, is not just starting with this government. They have been, His Excellency Governor Atta. He paid for 10 years. There was still local government system running. But Atta paid for 10 years. That was from 1991 to 2000. There was another one after Atta was His Excellency Governor Senator Godswill Obodopabio. He paid from 2001 to 2010. There was still local government system running. Now, why should suddenly the system becomes so controversial that the state government is trying to say that, to convince people that it is not his own responsibility to pay? Okay, fine. But you receive local government funds every month, put together all the money that goes to local government in Akwa Ibom State runs up to 5 billion, close to 5 billion, if not over. So it has always been the responsibility of the state government. Okay, when they were employed, who employed them? The state government. The letter of employment was signed by the state government. So why shift the responsibility of payment to the local government? And in any case, what have you done to call a local government chairman who has refused to pay pension and entitlements to retirees?
Because I was also about to ask, you know, local governments are supposed to be the ones in charge of paying teachers.
From the constitution,
it should be so.
Yes,
so did that change?
Like in Kaduna State, there is financial autonomy to the local government.
Okay.
In Akwa Ibom State, there is no financial autonomy. The local government, the chairman, they depend solely on what the governor gives to them. That is why there is no development in the local government. What we are crying today, these entitlements, pension, gratuity, welfare of workers, and the local government tier of government, it is also existing. There are people that are from 2012, where the previous government paid, nobody has paid retirees at the local government level. So people are also, if it affects the local government, if you are working in the local government, you are facing issues. It is real in Akwa Ibom State. Just because, for one reason, nobody is given financial autonomy in Akwa Ibom. No local government has the financial autonomy, which of course would have taken a lot of load from the states. Understand? So this is the biggest problem. In fact, this is the foundation of the crisis we are having in these sectors.
Okay, trying to shift the payment from local government to state and from state to local government.
Yes, but okay, it is safer for us to say, if we are managing the money that is due to the local government, also take the responsibilities.
Okay, sir. So now this is a question that is making the round. So I'll need to ask you as a face of, you know, the next of kin and the retirees and gratuity, you know, pension people. Do you think that the state government's decision to pay these monies being owed is going to have any effect on the electorate? Now, but what I mean by that is this going to sway in any way the decision of the retired teachers and the electorate in this cabal for who they want to vote for in the coming elections? Because there is, you know, one might think this is a calculated move by the political class to sway the electorate in this cadre of the society to play to a particular political reason.
Or let me just say this now. What do you think is the main reason government has decided to pay this money
at this point? Because of course there's been a conversation. This has gone over and over. We've even had the commission come here over and over to have these conversations. And 1 year into the end of this administration, they decide to start paying monies that they haven't looked into in past years.
Well, for whatever intent and purpose, the injury has been done. So this government, this present government, cannot pacify anybody. They cannot sway the minds of people. In fact, we are going to be very involved in politics, because if we are not involved, we'll keep crying. That's why we've told our members, go and register, have your PVC. That is going to be the power. We don't wait to see another governor coming and begin to tell you the previous government received Paris Club debt reform, for instance. Why did you not ask him, the governor, to pay that time? We've been exposed to a series of embarrassing questions. Government must be responsible, and it starts from the citizens' participation, and that is why it is very crucial for us. We know the antics, but it is not even enough to sway anybody. Out of 33 billion, we are bringing in one. What do you want to do with 32? And honestly speaking, no government is planning well for the future of this state. This government, because if a new governor comes in, you know, that's a very big trap. How can 32 billion be managed as a debt? You are just coming in. And because when he came in, the backlog was not as huge. In fact, it was about a quarter of what we have. It was about a quarter. Now, if we had started from 2015, it would have made so much impact by now. It would have, I'm sure. These antics now, people would have made up their minds. Oh, this is a good man, this is a good government, we can trust him for appointing or electing the next one, the next governor. But I assure you, in our hearts, the injury has been done, and it is enormous. It's the psychological trauma people are facing. We don't need to wait for somebody to bring somebody again. We are choosing our.
Okay, so let me just ask this on a lighter note now. Do you have your PVC?
Yes, I have. Okay. I have, and I hold it so dearly to myself.
Okay, so away from that now, there's a question I want to ask. I remember that the last time you were here, you talked about the fact that your organization and some other sister agencies have been in constant talks with governments to see how these funds can be released. So from the last time that you came here, to when government started, trying to offset that backlog? What has happened? What has been the conversations before government, as to this particular issue?
Yes, I know that the chairman of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Nakwaibon, said the NUP, the Forum of Retired Primary School Teachers, and the next of kin also will be involved in trying to persuade the government to see the reason to release funds. And we're asking for 5 billion per tranche. Per batch, 5 billion naira per batch. That would have made some reasonable impact on the people. So if it boils down to, even though we've talked, at the end of it, you release 1 billion, assuming that is correct. How much of the people has been able to receive this billion? Of course, for instance, in 2011, we had a financial commitment of about 1.2 billion naira, just 2011. And from what you've released so far, half of that a year has not been paid. Just 1 year. And this is where the governor wanted to start payment. You know the impact. And we have 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, and the rest. So if you cannot even clear 1 year as at now, so what will happen?
So that 1 billion naira that the government has given cannot even clear one year of the arrears or the backlog.
Because the backlog was much. The backlog was much. It is too late for any meaningful impact, except except the government says today we are going to be decisive on this matter. Put 5 billion. 5 billion can handle 3 years. People will understand that. Maybe after 3 months, put another 5 billion. The pressure will go down.
Okay, so I'm going to ask now, just a way to, wrap this up. What is the expectation of the, the NUP, the NOK, and the teachers forum generally towards, to the government with regards to this? I know that somewhere along the line there is a thank you for making an attempt, right? But what's the expectation from you people to the state government?
Well, for us, the women, the widows, the orphans, every one of us that is involved, the retirees, they are the ones that are wearing the shoes. They know where it pinches. We can also look at the NLC chairman, for instance, and say, thank you, sir, you've tried. Same for the NUP, Nigerian Union of Pensioners. But at the end of all these things, if government refuses to listen to them, for instance, because I know they are putting in some effort, now the people that are concerned will go out for another peaceful protest.
So is it that words have been put forward to government to see how they can be paying these monies, even if it is in 1 billion naira, maybe every year or something? Are there conversations along those lines?
Yes,
with government
there are always
continue?
conversations, but also the government is also responsible for where we are. They are 100% responsible. For instance, the NUP, very early in this administration, saw this Waterloo or watershed. They saw the problems ahead, and they started writing to the governor, His Excellency, please, sir, can we have a discussion on this? They started writing from 2015 till today. The governor has not granted Nigerian Union of Pensioners any audience, even one audience, on this issue.
From 2015
from
till
2015. Now we are in 2022. So if we had interacted with these elderly people, maybe they would have found a way out. Sure, they would have found a way out. When we received the Paris Club debt reform of 34.5 billion, nobody was paid any pension in Akwa Ibom State from that money. And it came with a directive. Use part of this money to offset pension obligations in your state. So these are things we would have done far back. So that is why when I say the antics of government to pay now,
the injury
is so deep. We are not happy that government received that kind of money and did nothing about it.
Anyways,
you built a big church.
We can't possibly
this is
say
a question
that
I would like to ask.
Did not do anything about with the money.
No, like do anything in regards to them
into all the projects, you know, in the state.
Yeah. So, but this is a question we should.
He must have channeled the money into.
Yeah, maybe. This is not me speaking.
Okay, no, but that's not the crux of our problem. That's not even our discussion this morning.
Yeah.
So something else I'd like to ask is, from the pool of people that have been owed from 2012 to 2022, where are they going to begin the payment from? Because we have, you know, different cadre of people that have retired, people that have been owed pensions. What is the system in place? What year? What local governments? What's the plan? So that it's not that a group of persons have been paid out of this 1 billion in quotes that has been released, and there is another group who will not even see their 2012 payment from.
That's a big challenge, very challenging, because you expect that by now, whatever, no matter how little these drops have been coming, you expect that people in 2002, like the next of kin, or 2003, must have been paid. Government has actually gone on air to say that they are not owing anybody. But I have a list of people in those years that have not been paid. If you've not paid these people, how come that people in 2013, with their connections, have been paid? It is worrisome. It is worrisome. For me, if you want to settle everybody, just settle everybody, let everybody go. If you have a system to pay, follow that system. It should have been so. I get the question, it's very clear, but the system is not very, very orderly. As you know, for instance, very influential people send lists to the consultant.
Okay.
As influential as the governor's wife.
So we do not actually have a system in place to say we are going to start payment from pensioners in 2003 to this point.
Sometimes beneficiaries come on our neck that we should have done something. So if you can't, if you are not there, you are not there.
Anyways, Mr. Benjamin Benson, we want to thank you for your time on set, but what's your last word moving forward?
I've always appealed to the state government. Please, it is the responsibility of this government, any government, to solve problems, assuming this is one of the problems. Many states governments, like the Borno state government, he paid 12 billion. He made this backlog. It was a problem also. Despite the war on terrorism, he also paid 12 billion in one tranche. 12 billion naira. He solved that problem. And he said that there will be no case of backlog of pension in Borno forever. Kaduna State has done it. Recently, Governor Wike, he had all this experience also. And what he did was from whatever year to 2014. That was first batch. Second batch is from 2015 to the end of his tenure. So that is a commitment. And so at that point, you know that, in fact, that is just what I want the governor of Akwa Ibom State. To other states cannot always be better than us when it comes to affecting the people, because these are also Akwa Ibom people. If you empower, in fact, it's not even empowerment, it's not a social investment program, it is their statutory entitlement.
Anyways, I want to say a very big thank you to you, Mr. Benjamin Benson, Secretary Next of Kin, Retired School Teachers. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
That's the much we can take on this particular interview. We'll take a short breather now, and when we come back, of course, other very interesting conversations will be coming up. To stay with us.
the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my Lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Elections in Nigeria is characterized by fraud.
It is not pure election because of the way they conduct it.
The elections are here again. For us in Akwa Ibom State, it is another opportunity to elect credible and potential leaders.
But I see some of them are not really credible.
In fact, when you talk about the credibility in the Nigerian system, it's absent.
As for the aspirants, what are your plans to better the lives of citizens and ensure that it is not just another era of political promises?
Some aspirants came up with so childish kind of manifesto, something that you know that they cannot do.
Even if after campaigning and promising heaven and earth, you find out that by the time they come in, they cannot do 50% of what they promised.
Because they are coming to see this. If they don't use this, they will not achieve what they want. So it is the normal thing they must use to convince a man that does not have a proper ideology to vote them.
So it's just a mere slogan. It's just a mere slogan to use and have their right into power.
What do you, the people, think about the elections?
The electoral process has been marred by malpractice and all of that.
That's a bad thing in Nigeria. All election night, you have about money.
Definitely, no matter what the reforms they are carrying out, they will still be rigging.
It's about the aspirants, the manifesto, the people's view, and in-depth analysis.
That godfatherism is what has eaten deep into our political system. It has become a cankerworm that has left our political system into a corrupt system.
If it is not godfatherism, somebody like me, I will become the counselor. So because I don't have a godfather, it will not work.
Because people feel that they will come and invest, they need to get something back home. So the major aim is not about the people, it's about their family and themselves.
Godfatherism will not help the politics to grow. It won't help democracy to grow.
Vote buying will even be more this time around because these people, most of them have stolen a lot of money and they will use this money to buy votes.
Who gets to represent you in government at all levels?
Well, for me, the new breed aspirants, I would love the new breed aspirants. But for those, there are some of them that will not, I would say, definitely, I wouldn't want them to come back definitely to power.
Join us on Akwa Ibom Decides every Saturday and Sunday by 3 p.m. each day, exclusive to Spectrum Television, as we take on the aspirants set to lead you.
Hello and welcome back. Thank you for being a part of our show this morning. It's still Rise and Shine, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakara. Well, we've had quite a number of conversations this morning, panning and covering a number of issues. We just had the secretary to the next of kin of retired teachers just leave here, of course, giving their response to the recent move by the state government to start paying off the accrued gratuities and pensions owed certain people in the teaching sector of Akwa Ibom State. Great conversation, and at this point we're going to move up to some of the conversations that we have on our table, covering the recent activities from the All Progressives Congress's unveiling of the vice presidential candidate Kashim Shettima, and some of the fallout of issues that happened, the alleged saga for the alleged saga of fake bishops, so we'll be having a conversation this morning.
Yeah, definitely. Anyways, as Nigerians have continued to react to the alleged bishops and pastors who attended the unveiling of the running mate to the APC presidential flag bearer, Kashim Shettima, the social media have also been awash with a lot of unverified reports as to the identity of these pastors, priests, and bishops. Also, the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, has been crying foul since Tinubu declared Shettima as his running mate and has attended to play up religious cards, calling on its members not to vote any party running on a Muslim ticket. Likewise, the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria. CAN has also issued a statement disowning the clerics at the event and saying they were fake. The body said they were hired mechanics and artisans by the APC with robes on them to give the impression that they were bishops and pastors. Anyways, on that note, we'll be having Reverend Joseph John Hayab, who is the chairman, CAN Kaduna, and vice chairman, CAN 19 Northern States, join us on this conversation this morning. Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, thank you so much for being a part of our show this morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Let's just begin the conversation by talking about exactly what happened on Wednesday when the presidential flag bearer of the APC, Ahmed Tinubu, decided to unveil officially to Nigerians his running mate for the 2023 elections, the former governor of Borno State, Kashim Shettima, as his running mate. And then we all saw the breakout of people saying the bishops and priests and pastors that attended that particular event were fake. Can you put us in more light as to what exactly happened and why Nigerians should see these people as fake?
I'm not sure I'm hearing you very well. You are not audible here. Because I don't want to give you a wrong answer without knowing your question. Can you be audible for me to hear you, please?
Okay, so I'm trying to say that you should give us a true perspective of who these pastors and bishops and priests were that actually attended the unveiling of the vice presidential candidate of the APC.
Let me first say that we are giving prominence to an issue that has no need. What the Christian Association simply did was, when there was an unveiling of the vice president of the APC, journalists saw that there were people in castle, and they wanted to ask us if we know them and if they were there to represent us. And our answer simply is that we don't know them, haven't looked at their pictures very closely. And we did not also send them. So they are on their own, if they are clerics. But clearly looking through the picture, we could see that many of them are not pastors. Many of them are not bishops. But you see, they know how people respect the word bishop. They know how people value the word bishop. And that's why mechanic and artisans could come out and tell us that they are bishops. It's quite ridiculous, because if this is what it takes to be a bishop, then we should go back and relook at our office of bishop. But since they were out to market somebody, they don't mind lying and saying what is not about it. Because even the candidate himself, as the vice president, in his speech, made specific mention of the presence of those characters and called them bishops. Bishop of which church? If you observe that they refused to respond to journalist interview, the one who clearly spoke, because he knew he was not a bishop, he was smart enough to say, look, I am the executive director of Muslim Christians. So you see, a bishop does not, a bishop is not the head of an NGO. A bishop is the head of a church. So the man knows that he is not a bishop, he could not answer that. And then we have evidence to show Nigerians that many of these people there are not even Christians. If they want push-ups, we can prove them. Many of them have no business with being pastors. They may have gotten 1 or 2 clerics and then fuse it and surround them with more than 27 or 20-something non-Christians and non-clerics and who are now parading themselves as bishops. Can I just go to court and sit down and call myself a lawyer? No, I have to be a lawyer. Can I just be to a bank and say I'm an accountant? No, I have to be trained and have a certification of being an accountant. Why are they taking our faith as something so cheap that they would just impersonate us and present characters? Because even yesterday, when the Tinubu campaign organization were trying to respond, I can say they were smart, but with a half. They admitted that, yeah, some of them are bishops, but they are not prominent bishops in Nigeria. And I just laugh. We can give them evidence of many of them who have no business with church. They wore dress that looks like bishop. But they were not in the dress, they exposed themselves because they didn't even know how to wear it. They didn't even understand how to present themselves as bishops. There are clothes that bishops don't wear for occasions like that, but you see they wear it. So if they were bishops, they knew that, they would know that those things are not. I can give you one of the examples. One of the persons who appear as a bishop actually wore the clothes of a Catholic catechist. He becomes a bishop. And I can tell you that no Catholic catechist will want to even be called a reverend father or a bishop because he knows it's a disrespect to his church.
Okay, so another question I would like to ask you, aside from you noticing that these people are not bishops or priests, but why did you also describe them as mechanics? Are they also mechanics?
I can tell you, we'll tell you evidence of some of them, what is their job. A member of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, who is he? Is he also a bishop? The description of a mechanic is to say they are artisans. They are not pastors. Simply that's what it means. So, is the mechanic not an artisan? If you are thinking, I think we are just making a very important conversation look so childish. If you're asking me to prove that, then I don't understand why we should do this conversation. No, because calling mechanic is just describing an artisan. An artisan.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, why do they call them bishop? If they do not have shame, they do not have respect, they could lie and call those who are not even pastors bishop. Then what do you expect me to describe them? Please tell me.
Let's move forward now. What is the CAN body doing about this? Is it just
we have told the world we don't know them. They are not pastors. Okay. The fact is that I can add to more of the evidence that even some of the names they are now slanging around, the people were not even there, but they are using people's name and telephone number as if they were part of those invited. So, but for CAN has simply told Nigerians, we don't know them, we do not send them, and simple, that's where we end. We're not going to go, we can start going to, you want us to go to their mechanic shop or go to their National Union Road Transport Workers. I can tell you one of them who recently went to seek for a job with Dangote in Ilorin and didn't get the job, but he automatically became a bishop at the flagging of or presentation of Shetima. Can we go and start talking? We waste all our time doing the trivial issues. So our focus is we have exposed them, we tell people we don't know them, and we stand by that. We are doing better work among our members, educating them to get ready for the general election. I think that should be our focus, not to waste our time about some non-people.
Now, talking about the general elections, CAN has also said that, I've read an article where CAN publicly said that Christians shouldn't vote for the APC party because of the Muslim ticket that has been flown to Nigerians.
Simple. You see, long before the primaries, the Christian Association of Nigeria, understanding that there is so much division in Nigeria, there is so much tension in Nigeria. I advise all the 18 political parties to toe the line of unity, address all sensitive issues by ensuring that those who will represent them reflect the various interests of Nigeria so that every Nigerian will feel belong. We offer advice, and that is our role. The Bible says that when someone is doomed to die, the job of a priest is to warn him so that he will not die. If he warns the person and the person refuses to listen, then the consequence of that death is on that person, or the implication of that death is on that person. But if you fail to warn him, then that is the problem. I think Khan did what a good religious voice or organization is supposed to do by advising. APC chose to do otherwise. They did not care. So simply APC have told us that we don't care, we don't want Christian vote, we don't want Christians to be part of our government is about us. I've said this severally that the lame excuse they gave was they didn't find any competent Christian in the north. They would have even told us that it's a strategy for winning election. Probably we would say, okay, that is your strategy, we hope it works for you. But to say they didn't find a competent Christian, it looks quite ridiculous and disrespectful, because I have said this and I want to repeat in your medium, that when you pick the best, the 10 best that belongs to northern Nigeria, the first 8 will be Christians. But because that's what they want, so that's no problem about it. All we are doing is sensitize our people that let's look for a party that unites Nigeria. Let's look for a party that presents a competent person that can deliver the goods and also unite Nigeria, because competency and the unity of Nigeria must go together.
Okay, sir. So we would also ask, because now going back to the situation with the bishops and all, this seems to be a straightforward affront on the Christian community, and we know that Khan has already come out to make, a clear-cut statement distancing themselves from those bishops. But I would like to ask, going forward, how can we? What is Khan planning to put in place to check these kinds of things? Because I know that the Christian community and the Christian faith has sacredness, bound to its faith, and is rather disrespectful that people of other faiths will have the impetus to go this distance to misrepresent the Christian community in Nigeria.
You see, this is where Christianity differs from other religions. If those impostors were from another faith, they would have been flame. Or what we did it for another faith in Nigeria, this country would have been on flame now. But because they are doing it to Christianity, and let me tell you what we believe as Christian leaders, we will never fight for Jesus. Jesus will deal with people who fake his name. You remember a very good story in the Bible, if you are a Christian, and if you don't know, then let me teach you, where some people learned that Paul was removing demons and healing people, and they also went to start binding and casting demons. And the demons came out and said, Paul, I know, Jesus, I know, but I don't know you. And gave them a big beating that they had to run. So what we believe is that those who are impersonating our faith, if they think they are ridiculing our faith, they are not ridiculing our faith. They are instead showing how ignorant they are. Because in the things of Jesus, Jesus is the one who fights his battles. We don't fight people to defend Jesus. We don't fight people who mock at Jesus. We don't kill people who speak bad or who blaspheme against Jesus. Jesus knows how to deal with them. Khan will not. People have been calling, no, why don't you take them to court? We waste all our time going for litigation with non-entities. We waste all our money hiring lawyers to go and talk about someone who, when you look at them, you know they cannot even afford food in their home. So instead of wasting time to do that, we keep sensitizing people. Our greatest weapon is education. So we will educate people to know the difference between true bishops and fake bishops, true people of God and fake people of God, because it's scriptural for us to teach people to differentiate between light and darkness. So we don't need to waste our time doing other things that this education, sensitization. Then by the 25th of February, the result that will come out of the poll will tell us whether we did a good job or we went to sleep.
Okay, Reverend Sir, another question I would like us to talk about, when we talk about the fact that Khan is saying that the APC is insensitive to the Christianity by choosing a Muslim leader, I want to ask, what is even the difference? We've had several administrations that have fronted Muslim, president and Christian vice presidents. We have continued to see the killings of a lot of Christians, even in northern Nigeria.
Well, if you say that what is the difference, I'll be surprised, but I understand what you mean that was the difference. But let me simply put that there is so many differences. The fact about it is that, let me use Kaduna State as an example. For many years, we never know what it takes to have a Christian to be a governor in Kaduna State, nor a deputy governor. But after all these years of drama, Babangida, during his tenure as a military administrator, realized that the Christians were agitating because their voice was not in government. And he recommended that a deputy governor, a civilian, should be given to a military administrator. And then one sister, Pamela Sadoki, who is from north of Kaduna, the north is seen to be predominantly a Muslim, but because he's a Christian, was picked to be the deputy governor. I will tell you, Pamela Sadoki started realizing that documents that are coming will have money voted for this religious thing, for that religious thing. And she said, if there is a religious provision, I didn't see Christian names here. Now, when they sit at the Security Council or whatever council to discuss and take decision about the country, the state, certain issues that will come in place, non-Christians don't understand Christian value and don't understand boundaries when it comes to issues Christian matters. Then the deputy governor or the assistant who is a Christian will say, well, this thing may be right, but you see, it will violate Christian principle, it will violate Christian teaching, and then there will be just some balance. But where you have everybody speaking the same faith understanding, we are finished. We've tested this in Kaduna and we can tell people the evidence of it. We graduated from it and started growing out of our differences and growing to maintain peace. Then in 2019, the current governor of Kaduna State, who came with his bigotry, I'm sorry to use that, took us back to that old year. Sadly, from 2019 to today, Kaduna had gone through flame more than what it has gone through since 1987 to 2019. So is that what we want? Because in conflict management, you don't call people, you don't resolve people's conflict by saying their voice should not be heard. If you want to unite people, you must bring everybody to the table and give them equal voice to speak. Whether they speak for building of the nation, whether they speak for reconstruction, whether they speak for repair or whatever is wrong. But you can't tell us that, no, those people will think for us. You are telling us we are dark, we cannot think for ourselves. So these are the issues we are raising. And I can give you an example with the tenor of Obasanjo, with the tenor of Yaradua, and the tenor of Goodluck Jonathan. Christian ticket work. A Christian Muslim ticket work for Nigeria. Those who used to tell us that in 1993 something happened, but was the man ever been, the man became president? So you see, we're giving pictures of things that really never happened. So, and God has saved us from that and we want to go back to it. I believe that that inclusive combination will heal the division in Nigeria, will heal the wound in Nigeria than the isolation.
Anyway, some people have actually argued that even as Christians, it has never really stopped anything, when it comes to.
Well, you see, that's where they have their lenses, and I'm not debating with them, but I'm old enough and I've actively participated in many of the previous engagements, and someone cannot tell me that it does not make any impact. Just because we want to justify an error, we cannot condemn a good experience. No way.
Okay, Reverend Sir, I think let's shift a little bit into what happened in northern Nigeria recently, where there was a killing of Father John Mark Chapnum, who was killed in which state now? But he was in the diocese of Kafanchan on July 15, 2022. Let's talk a little bit about that. What exactly happened?
So that our viewers will know exactly what we're talking about. Reverend Father John Mark is the chairman of Khan in Jama'a local government of Kaduna State in the southern part of Kaduna. And he is the coordinating chairman for the 8 local governments that make up the southern Kaduna senatorial district. So you can see Reverend Father John Mark work closely with me. In fact, that if I have a message from the headquarters to send to Southern Kaduna, he is the first person I will contact, and then he will disseminate it to the 8 other local governments. So he's someone that I know closely. He's someone that I've worked closely. I was at the burial yesterday. I spoke passionately and painfully with what happened to him. The death of Reverend Father John Mark is a confirmation that the security situation in Kaduna has gone beyond what those who are responsible to protect lives and properties can do. I think they didn't understand it when it started. Gradually, it has overwhelmed them. They don't even have a solution to it. They thought they could address it by doing propaganda on media, and those evil terrorists couldn't give in to that propaganda. What we expect government to do is to use government might and use the structure of government, as the security agencies, to put to an end this evil. But when it started, our governor was more like someone speaking in favor of what they are doing. Some people will ask me, but what do you mean by saying he speaks in favor? You see, as a governor, if someone kills one member of your state, you're supposed to condemn the act and ask the security to go after the person and fetch out the person. But when you start speaking and justify the reason for the killing by giving it an impression that it is a farmer's hazard conflict, you know, I have listened to this conversation and I keep asking questions. What do you call farmer's hazard conflict? Well, there is no farm in the matter. There are no animals in the matter. The matter is someone sleeping in his house, in his community, and left in the night. Criminals come in, burn down houses, kill women, kill children, kill men, and you call it farmer's hazard just because you want to call a serious matter with a very careless term. Then Father Mark actually traveled to go to a particular parish for a function. On his way, he stopped in one of the parishes to just drink water and move, not knowing that the father in that parish was not around. When he blew his horn, then nobody came out. So he came out himself and opened the gate. As he entered the gate, not knowing that these bandits or criminals or terrorists were in that house, probably waiting for the priest that have traveled so that he will just come and they will kidnap him. Now they saw these two priests that came, they now quickly picked them and they moved with them. As they were taking them to the bush, Father Mark is hypertensive and couldn't move fast because of certain things, and they thought he was trying not to go, and they just opened fire on him and killed him instantly. But they went with the other priest and they were negotiating, and we didn't know that Father Mark was dead, not even too far from the parish, but they were negotiating for the two. Until when the negotiator now brought what they've agreed we should give them and took it to them. Fortunately for us, the other father had escaped, but he couldn't call us to know that he had escaped, and so they collected money from the negotiator, only for us to realize that Father Mark was dead.
Okay, so if there's a possibility that not necessarily he wasn't the target, so maybe
no, that's what we can clearly say. Yeah, but they went for another priest. They picked him in the house of another priest. So they were in the house of another priest to kidnap the priest, but the priest had traveled. Then another priest came and became, or two other priests came and became victims. But you know why we are worried is because within the space of 60 days, the Catholics in Kaduna have buried 3 Reverend Father. The first Reverend Father was picked in St. Luke, Kudanda, in his house in the night, himself and his brother, and they killed him and keep collecting money. I'm not even sure if his brother has come back now. It's almost 2 months now. Then the second Catholic priest went to his farm and they came and opened fire on him and took his brother. Then this other Catholic priest that just died, Father Mark now. So if someone tells us that it is not, this is deliberate and intentional. It was targeted at the Christian Reverend priest.
Okay, now this brings me to the question, what is the Christian Association of Nigeria actually doing in this regard? Because we get to hear the stories almost every day or every other day.
Yeah. Well, what we do simply is to condemn it and call on government to act and act responsibly. You see, if we call our people to carry dagger, we'll be violating our laws. We have called for self-defense, they get annoyed. But you've also read and listened to some governors calling that their people should go for self-defense. And I ask myself, why is it that if we Christian leaders say defend ourselves, then you will say we are trying to raise tension? But you are asking people to defend themselves. What is the difference between your own and our own? But you see, this is the abuse we get, and that's why we are also worried about this lack of balance in leadership. Where you don't even have a Christian governor or a deputy governor to call his Oga or his boss to say, okay, let's not be too hard on my people, listen to their cry, who have this abuse.
Okay, I think I also want to, for you to give us a perspective on how life is with the Christians in northern Nigeria as it stands.
This will be the last question I'll answer because I'm running out of time. The Christian in northern Nigeria is the most strongest Christian you can ever find all over the world. Because to be a Christian in northern Nigeria, you must be courageous. To be a Christian in northern Nigeria, you must just sacrifice your life. Whatever happens, let it happen. The Christian in northern Nigeria is the person that is badly abused in this country. But when he speaks, he is misunderstood, he is misrepresented. I'll give you an example. A governor in northern Nigeria will never give a Christian businessman or contractor a project of 200 million. He will not. Because the plan and the game is the Christians must continue to be lower economically and otherwise. So the best industry we ever have in northern Nigeria is education. As Christians, they will not do that. He will not play the divide and rule card. He can go and pick someone from Imo, pick someone from Anambra, pick someone even from a Delta, and come and give him a project. So that you, the Christian, indigenous Christian, if you complain, you say, is this man not a Christian? I'm giving him, you are calling that I'm not giving you. You see, the whole gimmick is, if you complain, then the other Christian who is from the south will now feel you don't like him. So they have played all this game for too many years. That's why the northern Christians have reached a space that they can't trust anything until they see it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining the conversation this morning. We really appreciate your holistic view on things happening, and we do appreciate Khan for being able to come up and speak on behalf of the Christians, and we do hope that very soon the Christian community in Nigeria will experience some respite. Thank you very much, sir, for coming on the show on Spectrum Television.
Thank you, and God bless.
All right, so enjoy the rest of your day.
Anyways, that was Reverend Joseph John Hayab, Chairman Kan Kaduna and Vice Chairman Kan Northern Nigeria, Northern States or so. Anyways, it's been I don't know how to put it now, but
it just makes you can't keep track of the things you want to say when you hear some of these things come on head on. But of course, Reverend Haya has made a point. The gap that the Christian faith gives you to be able to defend yourself as other faiths would do is limited. Like it's non-existent. That's the word. It's non-existent. So at this point, like I know one of the responses he gave was the only thing is that we can only, just like we say, write press statements. We can only tell the government this is not fair to our people. But beyond that, there is not so much we can do. And I know that the question of taking, the APC to court had actually come up. But he has given a response. These are not battles that the Christian community is interested in meddling with. Because if we say that this is it, I mean, it's a Christian faith thing. Your yes should be your yes, your no should be your no. So at the point where they've even said we do not have relations or knowledge of who these people are, they just want to stand by it. But of course, we do hope that with even some of the things that our guest has shared this morning, that more people can get an understanding and they should choose the side of the divide they want to stand with regards to the Muslim ticket or going for a Muslim Christian ticket. Sometimes it's not just about round table talk. You need to go for more in-depth understanding so that it sponsors, whatever decisions you make.
I still think that it depends largely on the, electorate to choose who they want to at the end of the day.
Of course.
There are different indices that will play out even on the ground of elections that day. So we also have people that even after making their minds up from their homes will get to the election grounds from one factor or the other. They get to shift their minds. But it still lies on us, to know which side of the divide we actually take on this matter. But again, what just messed up with my head and everything is the fact that a lot of people are going through a lot, in northern Nigeria, and we keep hearing, today, tomorrow, next tomorrow, so person has been killed, and even the manner at which they are being killed, it's something that is quite scary. And to know also that the government, does not take these things seriously. And just about when we started the show, we talked about the government saying that they had a security meeting where they met with all heads of security in the country. And one of the issues they raised was banning motorcycles and mining activities in the country, just to see how they can curb the issue of insecurity in the country. But you know, away from that now, will we be seeing more proactive measures or proactive steps taken by government? And then he also made mention of even the governor of Kaduna State. Now, these are some of the things that we really do not like to hear, that the government in a particular state cannot take responsible for every person in that community. A governor is not a governor for a sectional side. A governor is a government for every citizen, every inhabitant of a particular state. And it behoves of that particular government to make sure that the lives and properties of everybody is safe. And so when a governor does not actually give us that body language of I am a governor of all, it becomes a big problem. It really becomes a big problem. And that's why we see most times that some of the issues that we have, you know, in northern Nigeria are along the lines of religious issues. Okay, so some people just feel we are more important than the others, and our lives are more important than the other lives. And that is the picture that has been painted for us this morning. And it's something we're saying no to. It shouldn't be like that. Nigeria is a homogeneous society. And it says in our unity, in our, how do you put it now?
Diversity.
Diversity, you know, we unite in our diversity. In our diversity, we stand. So an Igbo man should be able to go over to northern Nigeria and do business and live there and acquire some kind of things, you know, and acquire some kind of things and not be afraid of his or her life. So we want to say Nigeria where the unity that we preach actually stands actually.
Yes, I mean, that's about all we can take for, you know, all of these conversations. We wish all ourselves the best as Nigerians. So at this point, we will just move up and take our tidbits for the day. Let's start with our Did You Know segment. Yeah, tigers have striped skins, and these patterns on their skin go to show that they're actually different. No two tigers have the same patterns.
Yeah, more
so
like
they're different.
the stripes are
prints.
like fingerprints of human beings, that no two people have the same kind of fingerprints. So same goes for tigers with your stripes as well. Anyways, I will take our health tips now.
You're just flashing it on the screen. Give it a little time. Our skin does actually need moisture from the inside out, so we should drink a lot more water than we do, at least 6 to 8 glasses of water per day to keep hydrated. Alcohol and caffeine is dangerous as it can excess of course is dangerous because it can make you constantly dehydrated. Okay, so try out to 6 to 8 glasses of water. So we move up to our recipe for the day.
These are quite savory, and there are things you can just quick fix for either parties or maybe your guests, or even you wanting to have a crunchy dinner or breakfast or something.
Yeah, nice one, easy to make. I mean, around us. So let's take our quote of the day.
It says, enjoy the little things, for one day you may look back and realize they were the big things. Robert Brault. Enjoy the little things, for one day you may look back and realize they were the big things. Great. Of course, as we move into the weekend, let's keep enjoying the little things. We talked about celebrating little wins that we do or have, and that's just it. One day we might just look back and notice that, oh, these things were actually big, you know.
Yeah, it's a good day to enjoy the little things of life. This is the size of the show we can take today. Thank you for being a part of Rise and Shine. Thank you for choosing Spectrum Television. I remain Uyai Ania Khan.
My name is Janice Kobo. To have a blessed day.
Elections in Nigeria is characterized by fraud.
It is not pure election because of the way